We have very interesting conversation today. Wait for it. I have the pleasure to welcome in this live room Jacques Bøgh, someone who has very inspirational career story and the transitions he has implemented from the corporate to entrepreneurship on different layers and ladders. Jacques, very excited to have this insightful discussion with you today, and welcome to the studio of Babel-On.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
This is the pleasure always, and you've been the great supporter of the Babel-On capacity building program, where you are talking about the career transitions. And I know, Jacques, that you've been going through several career transitions, and many people are asking us, like, how do you sense this? I did it from corporate to entrepreneurship, right? Based on your experience, when you transitioned and did the career shifts, are there any internal signals or, I don't know, external circumstances that someone should pay attention to while thinking about the career shift?
Yes, so I think in general, throughout your life, you are always going to look at what we all look at. Basically, are we happy or frustrated? Do you find the balance you want? Do you have time for what you want? When I was very young, I really wanted to work a lot, and I think that's the best time to do that. When you get older, especially when you have small children, you want to have time for that. You don't want to travel too much, and of course, and other things like standard things like, do you feel valued? Do you feel like you're missing out on something? That's maybe not the best guide, but okay, that's classic. Then something I've always looked at, but I must say I looked at it more when I was, let's say, until I turned 50 or so, because during the last third or so of your career, it's a little bit less important. But it is whether I felt that in 1 year, my market value would be better than today. Meaning, if I go to a recruiter or if I apply somewhere in a year's time and staying where I am now, how will they look at me? And do I feel that they will look at me and think even better of me than today? So that's, for me, a good indicator as to whether it's time to think about something else. Because if you have the feeling, okay, in a year's time from now, I'll not have learned much more. Of course, you always learn, but let's say I'll not have learned much more. I'll have learned less than I would learn elsewhere. I'll be stationary in my career. I'll not be promoted. I'll not get, let's say, a better package and so on. You might also find yourself in the situation where, in fact, you decline year on year. There are some organizations which are highly specialized and which are nice and so on, but maybe when you turn 35, you are a bit specialized and you're specialized in something which is not easily applied elsewhere. And then you should think about changing at that moment. So that's something I've always been looking at. Then circumstances overall, they're key, of course. Then let's say, and circumstances can, sorry. I apologize. So circumstances are key, of course. They change, and depending on circumstances, I might be more or less sensitive to where I'm going, where I am, and so on. For instance, today I'm not particularly worried about the fact that I'm not flying, and that's because of circumstances. In a sense, the circumstances are I know that I can't fly. Then, if I could fly, then and I can't concretely today for whatever reason, then maybe I get a little bit jealous of those who can fly. So it's always a little bit linked to circumstances, I would say. I apologize. Ina, my mother is calling me.
Yeah. And, listening to your story and the reflections you have on the career shifts, what I see in my professional journey, that people are asking about the stability, and there is a huge fear of losing that stability, right? So what are your insights on the mental work we should all do while doing the career shifts that help us managing the risks related to the career transfer? And while building something new, we should be confident that this is the right way to go, right? So how should we think about that? How should we overcome the bottlenecks that are created by our own brain, actually?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to accept, it is a bit mental in a sense, or let's say it's a reflection. It is to accept that stability is a bit of an illusion. In reality, in my opinion, stability is very risky. It's more risky than the alternative, which is to move a little bit from time to time. And also, it can be boring to be in stability. Then it really depends on everyone. But let's say I think most people after a while will find it a bit boring if you're too stable. For instance, I think in life, you're probably safer if you sit than when you walk. But try asking those people who have to sit all the time whether that's fun. Of course, you have other pleasures and so on, but overall, it's nice to be able to move. So that's the boring part. Then on the safety part, there's this saying in the US especially, where if the zombies attack or whatever, or if the federal government goes bankrupt, then it's good to have gold, guns, and ground. And that's a reification, meaning we think of something, a conceptual problem, having a solution in things. But these things are all very stationary, especially, let's say, having a house, but it works on it until it doesn't work. And it keeps you, let's say, it keeps you in an artificial stability. You can't move because you own a house. Gold is something which someone can steal, and guns, someone will end up having bigger guns than you. So I think the real skills, or let's say the real safety, is in very fundamentally is in two things. It's interpersonal skills. Can you get along with people? And not only those you really, really like, but can you get along a little bit with everyone? Can you find a rapport with everyone or almost everyone? And the second one is, do you have a technical skill? And when I say technical skill, it doesn't, so one thing is to be a mechanic or to be a doctor. I mean, if the zombies come, that's going to be useful. But it's also, it can be just being a good organizer, a good manager actually, because that's also a technical skill, so to speak. And if you have a skill and you're good with interpersonal communication, I think you are much safer than if you have guns, gold, and ground. So to go into the, let's say, the nitty-gritty of your question, so I think that's the first thing. You have to realize stability is a trap. Historically, stability is not at all a normal situation. And I think, of course, some people do their whole career in one place, but that's a bias. Try to start with those people who, when they're young, want to do their whole career in one place. I think you'll find that at the very end of this cohort of 40 years, in fact, very, very, very few of these people will have been in the same place. So you have to embrace change and accept that it has to happen. So just get on with it and embrace it a bit. And okay, by the way, it's going to be a bit less boring. So this having been said, I think on the one hand, between jobs, it's always good to have something. So even if you don't have a job, try to get a job. So getting a job can mean being paid what you're paid at McDonald's, but doing something which is relevant with what you have done before or what you would like to do, or something which in between can be exciting to do nonetheless, and which can help your CV. That's one thing. Then, of course, I think financially, it's always really a good advice to save. And saving is two things. One is to accumulate wealth, or let's say a reserve in a sense. And the second one is to spend less than you earn. I mean, if you make that your guiding light in your financial management in your life, then when the risk realizes, you will have a mitigation in place. Then just also like with the thing about interpersonal skills, if you have a network, you can use it, you can turn to it. So when I came to Switzerland, I had basically zero network. Now I know a lot of people. That's no guarantee, but it means that you have like a network of sensors, you have a network of support, you have a network of sparring, you have a network of not feeling alone also. That can also be important. All these things are coming with the network. And finally, I think you can also warm up for your change. So I knew at a point, like 5-6 years ago, I knew, okay, I would like to go back to the startup world because I've oscillated between the two. And so I warmed up, in fact, in that direction, meaning I started coaching a few startups. And, you know, if you've been coaching startups, even small ones, and even ones which are not deep tech or whatever, still, in fact, it gives you confidence, and it also gives you credibility in the eyes of startups, in this case, to say, yeah, okay, there's something. So that's a few thoughts about this stability thing and how to manage the risk.
And listening to you, yeah, when I was living corporate, right, there was the very comfortable place where I was sitting, right? Yeah. And I was living, when I planned my transition, I was thinking that actually 90% of the network I've built during my years in Switzerland, and I moved here many years ago as the expatriated professional, the 90% of people I have in my network will stay in that beautiful building, right? And I was like, oh my God, what is the entrepreneurial journey will look like? Where will I work, etc. Now I'm sitting in my beautiful office, and you see, this is not the wallpaper I use digital. This is the wall in beautiful satellite office where Babylon is, and one of the best working places in Geneva, and I love it. And who could say 2 years ago, 5 years ago, that I will be working from the most central location and the most stunning office space in Geneva, right? So it's all about the mindset. It's about the insights and beliefs we are placing in our heads that we can easily overcome. And I thank you for giving the wisdom and the insights on that. So what do you do now in Bøgh? What's Bøgh?
Bøgh is an education technology company. Let me see whether I happen to have my product. We're making the Bøgh box. There's a Bøgh box. It enables our clients to deploy digital classrooms wherever they want in the world at the push of a button without any kind of internet or power. That's the pitch. And what I do there is that I've had a career mostly in finance, and with Bøgh, I've been able, in fact, to transition to a more operational role. And something I do a lot now is actually try to find prospects and clients. And I do that at trade shows. So I travel a lot. I talk with a lot of people. Very interesting. And given what we do also, I learn a lot about how the world is a system and how, in fact, we all have an interest in the system working, even if it's thousands and thousands of kilometers away.
And as you said, if you can distinguish job from career and do the equal distribution of skill set on the soft and hard side of things, you can actually have very fulfilling combination, making impact. And it's many talks we had with you about Bøgh. This is what you are doing for the social impact in Bøgh, right, Jacques? And this is what I do for the social impact in Babylon. So there is a combination, and there is a very good, impactful outcome of the career transition that both of us have made.
Indeed, I can only confirm.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this talk. Thank you so much for giving the insights and the belief that we can open the box, open mind, and look at the things slightly differently to have the bigger impact and the influence on the society around us. Thank you, Jacques, for being here with me.
You're very welcome. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you.